So Imani told me I did pronounce her name correctly, so I feel good about that. I don't need applause for that. Imani is going to lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance as we get started, and I'm going to tell you who I am and do a few logistical things and try to not drive the teachers and leaders too crazy in what I'm going to ask you to do here in a minute. Okay? Of course. Yeah, you tell us all.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You rocked it. Awesome. Great. Hey there, everybody. My name's Luke Messer. I'm the president of Investment in Education and the actually founding co-chair of the Congressional School Choice Caucus with one of our other sponsors tonight, or leaders today, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who is co-chairing this event with John Molinar from Michigan, who is the current Congressional School Choice co-chair on the House side. It's been 9 years that we've been coming here. And I'm going to ask everybody to do a couple logistical things, but I want us to think about those 9 years and the opportunity we're here to highlight to leaders today. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if possible, I want our leaders to know that we're here, and I want to kind of fill in our seats and make sure that we're together and look like a group. So if possible, I see that they're starting to fill up even since I got up here, but we want to make sure that those seats get filled. Secondly, anytime I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'm living back in Indiana now, I try to walk around the Capitol if I can. I don't know how many here have had a chance to walk around the Capitol a little bit. Hopefully you live here, right? And to me, I think it's really important that we don't lose sight in the awesomeness of this place, right? It's easy when you're around here every day to kind of think, oh, man, it's just like that every day. But the symbols of this city stand for the greatest engine of opportunity in the history of the world. And yet we're here today because, as great as those opportunities are, we all know that as a nation, we've fallen short. There are too many kids in America that go to a school where they don't have a chance. When I was in Congress, I had an opportunity to go to the Basis Academy here in Washington, D.C. Really remarkable place. It's a math and science-based academy, has kids from every zip code in the Washington, D.C. area. And the first question I was asked, and maybe many in this room have felt the same way, is, Congressman, why don't all of my friends and neighbors have the same kind of opportunity I have? Anybody ever thought that? We can't stop as a nation until every kid, every family has a chance to go to a great school. All right, so next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to tell you one more thing about our responsibility. I want everybody to stand up, all right? If you've got a scarf, right, you hold your scarf like this, all right? If you don't have a scarf, just pretend, okay? It's like put your hands up and go right and left. I want to get us a little lined up. I want to get us loosened up. We're going to drive up. We're going to walk in. Somebody sat us down. We got leaders coming here. We got to make sure they know how much we appreciate this opportunity. So we're going to get a little energy, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is everybody lean to the right. Put your scarf back on if you've got it. Now, go like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I want this side to say, when parents have a choice, and I want this side to say, kids have a chance. All right, so first right here, you're going to say what? I say what? When parents have a choice, kids have a chance. When parents have a choice. Stop, we got to be louder. I mean, we got to say it like we mean it. All right, so now, go. Right? Thank you. Let's do a little bit of round of applause. We may do that. Okay, so when I point here, you're all going to say what? When parents have a choice. Can we do that in 10 minutes? We can, right? We know what we're going to do, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's one thing. Second thing is this. All right, every once in a while, and I'm going to get back and say precisely why we got to do it. Every once in a while, I'm going to go like this. Can you guys do it with me? Here's why. And this is the thing I'm really going to ask all of you, and I want you to think about this because, you know, one of the cool things about this room is that, like, we're different ages. Not everybody's in high school. We got some people that are younger. We're different in the way we're kind of processing the world and life. But what I want these leaders to know, because I've talked to so many of you, is that we appreciate the opportunity we have now for ourselves, right? Opportunity to go to a great school and have opportunities others don't have. And we believe that our friends and neighbors should have those chances too. And so as these leaders come up at the beginning, I hope for every one of them will applaud. When they leave, we want to applaud. And we just want to tell them how much we appreciate this chance. Can you do that with me? All right, let's do it. Now, some quick thank yous. Have I gotten us too far? No, we're not even behind. That's awesome. First, I want to thank the Scott and Molinar teams, their staff. Here, let's give them a quick applause. I mentioned them, the co-chairs. We've got a host of co-sponsors. See, when you're old and in your 50s, you start moving around like that, you start sweating even a little bit. You guys probably aren't even breaking a sweat. National School Choice Week, AFC, USCCB, Agudath Israel, the Orthodox Union, ACSI. We got a lot of initials in Washington, don't we? But these are all really important organizations that are allies for us. AACS, CAPE, Heritage Action, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, IWF, the Archdiocese of Washington, and CER. I want to welcome our schools who are in attendance. Our Lady of Victory School, where are you? All right. Cornerstone Schools of Washington, D.C. All right. The Archbishop Carroll High School. On the way, all right. The Annunciation Catholic School. All right. Washington School for Girls. They got it. They're winning so far. Early Childhood Academy Public Charter School. All right. Washington Global Public Charter School. All right. St. Thomas More Academy. I love it. St. Anthony School. Hey, that's close. That's close. St. Francis Xavier Academy. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. You know, one of the most important things I think that we've started to have happen in the school choice movement, this movement been around for 40 years, but you're now starting to have an extraordinary sort of generation of young people who are the products of this system that can tell their own story of how their life was changed when somebody gave them a chance. And I want to introduce you, start our program with one of those amazing young people, Michael White. Michael's from Washington, D.C., and a graduate of the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Program. After graduating college, he returned as a teacher at a school of choice that he attended, Cornerstone School of Washington, D.C. Michael was a 2020, that's right, give him an applause, 2020 Future Leaders Fellow at the American Federation for Children. Let's give him a round of applause. Come on.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is great to be here to celebrate School Choice Week. Can we give another clap for that? My name is Michael White, and I am representing the American Federation for Children as a fellow. One of the things that I think about is why exactly do we celebrate this week every year? Why is this one of the most important weeks in the year? Why is it so special? I think that there are a lot of stories that can exemplify why specifically it is special, and I think that my story as well serves as a reason as to why as well. When I was young, my mom and I, we moved a long time ago, and because we moved, we had to end up going to a new school. And unfortunately for us, we were living in a time where the place in which you live determined the school in which you went to. And for many kids, that's still the case, and then it was for me as well. I ended up going to a school that was failing at the time. It was a school that could not serve my educational needs. It was one that wasn't a safe environment and had a culture that was lacking. I ended up getting into a very violent altercation with a few students, and my mom then determined that I would never return to that school again. It was a tough time for me because I didn't know exactly where I was going to go. I had to find a new school, and at the time, there wasn't as many choices for schools to attend. At that time, though, there was also a bill that was brewing. At the time, we didn't know if it was going to pass, but it eventually did, and it turned into a program we now know as the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program. Without the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, I would not have been able to go to a new school. The school that I ended up going to was a small private Christian school called Cornerstone School of Washington, D.C. I see, clap it up for them. I see a few of them in the audience, and it was a great school, a school that certainly fit me. It was one that took care of my educational needs and was a safe environment. It was also a school that had a great Christian environment. It was able to serve the values that my mom was trying to instill in me, and instead of going to a school that was taking away from those said values. I was a third grader at the time, and I ended up going to that school up until the 12th grade, where I graduated there as salutatorian. Now, when I think about thank you. And when I think about the time in which I spent at that school, I constantly think about if other students would get the same opportunities as I would. In fact, a long time ago, back in 2010, there was actually a threat to the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program. We didn't exactly know if the program was going to exist or not. So what we did was we had to fight for it. Back then, a long time ago, we went to a lot of meetings, we went to a lot of different events. One thing that we did a long time ago was we had a choir, and a lot of schools with the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program had choirs. And what we did was we would often go down here near the Capitol, and we would sing and we would talk to politicians, and everyone would tell us we sounded great. And I know for a fact they were lying to us. But at the same time, we were able to speak to a lot of people. What I then realized was the power in my story. See, it's one thing when your teachers talk about the different students that they have, but it's different when there's parents that are involved that can speak on the behalf of their children, and it's even more special when that story comes from you. You guys have the unique ability to speak and talk about the different opportunities and choices that you guys were given and how those things change your lives. Me telling my story gave me the ability to change the hearts and minds of many politicians and many political leaders throughout this city and throughout the country. I know that you guys have the ability to do the same, which is what makes this week very important. I hope that you guys continue to fight and advocate for choices that you were given, and can continue to advocate so that all students all across this country can obtain choice as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Did I just see Archbishop Carroll High School get here? How about a shout out right there? Great to have you here. All right, for those of you who are already here we go. We're getting ready. I said 10 minutes ago, we're going to say right now, when... You guys did better earlier. Right here. That's my fault there. I'm about to bring up, I think, one of the best examples of the American dream I know in public life today, Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina. You know, I grew up in a single-parent family. My mom actually worked in a factory in a small town in Indiana. And part of the story I always say is the remarkable thing about America is that story's not remarkable at all, right? That almost everybody's, it's them or their parents or grandparents that lived that same opportunity at the American dream. But what Senator Scott also understands is that's only true if everybody has access to a quality education. One of the biggest champions for school choice and education opportunity for kids in America today, Senator Tim Scott.
Good morning. Listen, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to confuse anybody. Let me try this one more time. I love it. How's everybody doing this morning? Awesome. Can I make you guys a star by putting you on the social media right here? Come closer, come closer. Any stars over here? Oh, there they are. That's the loudest 5 people in the whole room. I love it. I love school choice because I understand the value of a good education. I will tell you, I've said it several times, the closest thing to magic in America is a good education. And as a kid growing up in poverty, single-parent household, I went to 4 different elementary schools by the 4th grade. It wasn't going very well for me. And as I went from middle school to high school, things got worse. When you're living in poverty, you move a lot sometimes, and my mother was working 16 hours a day, trying to keep the lights on, food on the table. And it didn't always work out. We didn't always have the lights on. Come home sometimes and you hit the switch, didn't work. Tough times. As a freshman in high school, I basically failed out. I failed 4 subjects my freshman year. I failed world geography and civics. Civics is a study of politics. And as a U.S. Senator, it is hard to appreciate how good God is when you can fail civics and still become a U.S. Senator. God is good all the time. Now, I also failed Spanish and English. When you fail Spanish and English, no one calls you bilingual. They all call you biignet because you can't speak in any language. And that's the year my mother encouraged me. How many of y'all love your mamas? I love my mama. She's my hero. Well, after I failed my freshman year, my mother came home after working a 16-hour shift, changing bedpans and rolling patients. She looked at my report card. She looked at me. She looked back at my report card. And she'd always told me, son, if you just shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll be among the stars. This time she came home and she said, baby. I said, yes, ma'am. She says, you know? I said, I know, Mama, I know. If I should have shot for the moon, I've been among the stars. And she said, no, baby, you missed that lesson. Now, I know that y'all are younger than I am. My mama took me outside to a tree. And she said, pick a branch. Now, I know y'all don't know where this goes. I can tell y'all are used to time out here. She said, take the leaves off of it. And she introduced me to a new form of encouragement. Now, in the South, we call a switch a Southern apparatus of encouragement. And she applied it liberally. I never failed another subject in my life. But I learned 2 very important lessons. One was, if you believe all things are truly possible, they are. And the second thing is, if you apply yourself and you have a good education, this country opens doors of opportunities that will never be shut. I'm excited about your future because you are involved in what I believe is the greatest civil rights issue of our time, and it is quality education. If we get quality education in every single zip code, America will be the bright star, the city on the hill, and we will live up to our highest potential because the future is in your hands. God bless you.
Okay, thank you all. We're doing a good job. How about another round of applause for Senator Scott? The next gentleman up I want you to have a chance to say hello to is Congressman Molinar from Michigan. He is the Congressional School Choice Caucus co-chair and has a daughter who went to a school of choice, made a big difference in her life. Congressman Molinar.
Thank you, Luke. Well, good morning, everyone. How many of you care about your future? All right. How many of you believe that every student in this auditorium is created in the image of God and deserves respect? All right. I believe that too. And one of the reasons I'm involved in School Choice Week in co-chairing along with Senator Tim Scott, who's a great advocate, isn't he? It's because I believe in the fundamental importance of families being able to choose their future, choose their school, and have the opportunities that best fit their needs. Now, I learned that firsthand as a parent when I had a daughter who was in elementary school, was pretty much bored in her classroom. They really weren't challenging her and exciting her about learning. And she heard about a new school nearby that had just opened up, a charter school. She heard that they got to use microscopes and really excited about their learning. And most times as a parent, you don't kind of follow your elementary school's recommendation, your elementary child's recommendation on their school. But in this case, we saw it was so important to her, it's such a motivation. We had her go to that school. And she thrived there. She did so well in math and science. She ended up going to West Point and serving our country and the armed forces. And I say that because as a parent, you have a responsibility to raise these children and do what's best for them. And I don't think anyone knows that better than your family and you to know what the best fit is for your education. So that's why I'm a strong supporter of school choice. I serve on the Appropriations Committee, which oversees the Department of Education. And we're going to work very hard to make sure they're accountable to the American people and to you as students, as parents, as teachers, to make sure we do the right thing for every student in America. So thanks for having me. Great to be with you, and have a great School Choice Week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Keep the applause coming. Love it. Thank you guys so much. Hey, I want to introduce you real quick, a great friend of mine from Service Together, a great champion for the state of South Carolina, and somebody that loves and champions freedom for America's kids.
Thank you.
Joe Wilson.
Oh my God.
Good to see you, friend. Good to see you.
It's so good to get the alumni back. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's so humbling to look out and see so many bright faces. I just want to wish you well on all of your careers. And when I think about school choice, I'm thinking about what education has meant to our family, and that is my wife is a teacher. She taught an alternative school, giving young people a second chance. So I saw that. Additionally, I'm really grateful due to educators. My second son received a degree in chemical engineering, my fourth son in industrial engineering. We were not able to help our children beyond in math beyond the third grade. So we know how important teachers are and different options. And then I'm particularly grateful, as Congressman Molinar pointed out, that one of my sons, my oldest son, actually was needed school choice. He was. We went for guidance counseling one time, and the persons there were really nice, but they said, hey, Alan is doing really well. He has all D's, and he's going to the next class. And I was so shocked. I do not consider all D's the passport to the next class. And so we actually, using school choice, moved him into where it was a smaller class environment. And now, last Wednesday, he was sworn in for his fourth term as Attorney General of South Carolina. So if he hadn't had choice, he still may be in high school. So I have a real personal interest in this. And then every child deserves access to an effective education, and we should be encouraging parents to explore and identify the best learning option for their child. School choice improves academic outcomes and allows students to seek innovative methods of instruction and school governance in a way that fits their individual needs. I'm grateful to Governor Henry McMaster, Lieutenant Governor Pam Ebbett, South Carolina Superintendent of Education Ellen Weaver, for their support of school choice in South Carolina. Some of the options available to students in South Carolina include magnet schools, public charter schools, virtual education, and residential school choice. Over this National School Choice Week, I'm also grateful to be introducing the Military Child Education Freedom Act and invite my colleagues to support this legislation. The Military Child Education Act would allow homeschoolers of active duty military personnel the ability to access their Coverdell account regardless of the state in which they reside. Coverdell education savings accounts, tax-free investments, and tax-free withdrawn accounts can be used for qualified K-12 educational expenses for public, private, or religious schools. There are few states that currently classify homeschools as private schools, therefore allowing the Coverdell education savings accounts to be accessed. And so we wish you all the best of continued success, and it's just, again, humbling to be here with you. And those of you who are in the Capital Region, you're always invited by 1436 Longworth House office building. We have an office with a window overlooking the U.S. Capitol. We'll get a picture with you and the dome on your shoulder. You don't have to call. Just come by and say, Joe said come by. God bless you. Thank you.
Thanks again, Joe. Hey, and Joe means it. I'm telling you. Go by his office. You'll have a great view and a great picture. You know, one of the best models of school choice in America is the state of Florida. And one of the biggest reasons why is our next speaker today, who is a former governor of the state of Florida, who fought these fights in the trenches to bring reform to the state and make sure every kid in the state of Florida has an opportunity. Now, he's one of the leaders in Washington in trying to make sure we have federal policy that also helps make sure that every kid in America has a chance to go to a quality school. With no further ado, I give you Senator Rick Scott.
How many of you have been to Florida? How's the weather there as compared to here? I don't like cold weather. I grew up in the Midwest, and I moved to 8 states to get to Florida, but I got there. I do not like cold weather. I'm blessed like each of you. I live in this country. I was born to a single mom. We lived in public housing in Illinois, and my mom told me I could be anything, and I believed it. She told me that I had to get a good education and I could be anything. I was for 8 years, I was the governor of Florida. How many of you are thinking about being the governor? Okay, so let me give you the deal. Okay, how would you like to live in the governor's mansion? How would you like to have dinner at the White House? How would you like to meet kings and queens? Okay, how would you like to have Secret Service? How would you like to have popcorn, ice cream, whenever you want? If you're the governor of Florida, you get all those things. All right? So here's the deal. To be the governor, what you have to do is you have to get a great education, and you have to get a job and work your butt off. But it's fun, and you get to do good things for other people. So I hope all of you move to Florida and run for governor in about, 20 or 25 or 35 years. Let me tell you the importance of school choice. Your parents should have the choice of where you go to school. How many of you get an allowance or make some money? How would you like, your teacher, your principal, or somebody say, well, that toy you want to buy with that, or that book you want to buy, no, you can't buy that one. You got to buy this one over here. You wouldn't like that. And who cares about your education more than anybody else? Your parents. and you. So I've been a big supporter of school choice. We have unbelievable school choice in Florida. So if you move to Florida, you'll be able to go to any school you want to go to. But in the meantime, we got to fight all over the country to make sure we have great school choice. So hope you have fun today. Stay out of the cold, and eventually I hope you all move to Florida. Bye-bye.
All right, gang, it's been a little while. We're going to work a little bit on our energy. All right, this time what we're going to do is we're going to stand up as we do it, and I'm going to remind us. So on this side we're saying, when parents have a choice, right? On this side we're saying, kids have a choice. All right, so here we go. Let's do it loud now. Really great things that's happening across America is as more and more families have started to have opportunities, more and more leaders are stepping forward to help fight that cause for the families that need it. The next speaker that's going to talk to you today is, I think, one of the most exciting new leaders to hit the United States Senate from the great state of North Carolina, Senator Budd. Thanks.
How's everybody doing this morning? You guys all right? Do we have any North Carolinians out there? All right. Say it again, a little louder. There you go. All right. All right. So how many of you all have ever been in a group or a school and you walked in and you were the new kid or you're the new guy, right? I think about every hand. We need some more hands to go up. Well, I want to let you all know that I am the new guy, the new kid in the U.S. Senate. There's only a handful of us, so I know how it feels. Thank you. But I want to let you know that last year, all around North Carolina, we've got, as you all from North Carolina know, we have 100 counties. I went to each and every one of those 100 counties, some of them multiple times. And here's what I heard. I met people of all types. I met every age, every race, every demographic, every background, old, young, every belief. And here's one thing that everyone had in common. They believed that all of our kids should get a good education. Do you all believe that? Absolutely. So when I was traveling around our great state, and I know Senator Rick Scott, a lot of Senator Scotts today, right? But as you met Senator Rick Scott, he said, move to Florida. Well, I want you to come to North Carolina. But when I was around each and every one of those, I promised them that if they voted for me, that I would do everything that I could to help them and their parents have a say in their own education. Do you all believe that? All right. So as a dad of 3 kids, and we chose early on that for us, of course, I'd gone to public high school, had gone to a little private school before that, had gone to a Christian school for graduate studies. But we decided, Amy, Kate, and I, that we would homeschool our kids. So that's educational choice right there. But I know firsthand that no 2 kids are alike. We've got 3 kids, and they're not all alike. And that means that the approach to education should be one that fits each and every student. A student shouldn't have to fit a one-size-fits-all approach. So putting parents in charge when it comes to their kids' education, I think that is one of the civil rights issue of our day-to-day. So when we're celebrating National School Choice Week, it shines a much-needed spotlight on the mission to empower parents and spread educational freedom across our country. So at the end of the day, when we serve in these elected roles like Congressman Messer did and as the ones you hear today have, our role is to make people's lives better and to make sure that you all inherit a country full of opportunity and full of freedom. So that's what I told the people back in North Carolina that I would do. And that's what I'm going to do for each and every one of you all as long as I have this job. So thank you all for having me here today. And may God bless each and every one of you.
Appreciate it, buddy. Next up, I may have mentioned to you earlier, I'm from the great state of Indiana. Anybody else here from Indiana? We can yell for that. Hey, right? They yelled for North Carolina. We can yell for Indiana. But the next senator up is a friend of mine from the great state of Indiana, somebody who uniquely, I think, for the United States Senate, served 8 or 9 years on the local school board. A great champion of freedom and a great champion for America's kids. I give you Senator Braun.
So how do you like the schools you attend? And how many parents do we have in the room? You know, our country was built upon a few simple principles. Our founders loved competition. They wanted freedom. That's why they put the great experiment together back when they did. And then something so important as education is evolved into a system where it's kind of one size fits all. Senator Budd said he came from a good public school system. Many of us did in Indiana as well. But when we started doing things there, we've led the nation on choice, competition, transparency. A guy named Mitch Daniels, who used to be our governor, made that a really important thing. You cannot, as a consumer of anything, expect that you're going to get the best result when you can only shop one place. Think about it. You want to have that freedom to choose. And parents wanting to be in that equation of being part of that process. I got to interview the Secretary of Education. I'm on health, education, labor, and pensions, and tried to get from him who that most important stakeholder should be in our own kids' education. Couldn't quite get it out on that first discussion. It should be you, parents. You should have that choice. And all of you here that have had the benefit of being able to choose, thank your parents for being along on that journey. Give them a big round of applause. So the good news is I was on a local school board for 10 years. Right about then is when in Indiana you can move among school districts without paying a transfer fee. That was an hallelujah moment for many of us. And then over the last 10 years, we've done things that's trying to make choice at the ultimate level to where, regardless of where you're at, you can do it affordably and choose where you want to go. So rest assured that you are lucky that you've got that. Kudos to you as students, parents, being along on the journey, and be confident that there are many of us looking to get that done across the country, and we're moving in the right direction. Thank you.
All right, remember what we said at the beginning. We're working here through about an hour and 15 minutes. We're about 45 minutes through it. I want to keep our energy up, so I'm going to ask everybody to stand one more time, or probably I'm going to do this twice more, but this will be everybody stand. All right, you can grab your scarf if you want. You can grab your scarf if you're not. Let's lean a little right. All right, let's lean a little left. All right, kind of stand on your toes just a second. All right, now we're going to go back. We're going to do it again. When we're going to do it louder than that, right? We can do that louder than that. All right, so here we go. When Thank you. Thank you so much. I want us all to remember, right, that we're here to remind these leaders why these opportunities are so important. The next person up is one of the most important education policy leaders in America. You know, one of the amazing things about our system of government is no one person's in charge. It takes a lot of different leaders to influence things. And when it comes to education policy, there's nobody that's any more influential than the chairwoman of the House Education and Workforce Committee, a lifetime career educator and a great champion for America's kids. I give you the gentlewoman from North Carolina, my friend Virginia Fox.
What a great crowd here this morning, and I'm glad Congressman Messer gets you up to get your blood stirring and keep you excited. But we all should all be excited every day about the issue of education freedom and school choice. You know, the author of Ecclesiastes wrote, "There's nothing new under the sun." Now, the author of Ecclesiastes said a lot of other things, but that's one thing. Education freedom isn't a new idea. In fact, the belief that parents have a right to choose how their children are educated has been the norm for most of human history. And it certainly was the norm for the United States, a nation founded on the principles of freedom and self-government. Yet since state-sponsored education took hold in our country, a powerful education bureaucracy has trapped millions of students in failing public schools. This cannot continue. We need a system that cares more about the interests of students than preserving its own power and control. I know all of you students here today are grateful that you can choose where you go to school. It's time to give more students that same choice. And it can't be said enough. Our country was founded on freedom. Freedom made the United States of America the greatest nation in the world. Our free market dramatically increased the quality of living in America, and academic freedom has led to unbelievable technological innovations. The fact that these principles are under attack today is a threat to future innovation. It's time to apply our most fundamental principle, freedom, to our most fundamental system, education. I've never been more optimistic about educational freedom than I am today. Traditional government-run schools have lost over 1 million students in the past 3 years. School closures brought the classroom into the home, and parents finally saw what their students were learning and were rightly horrified. Since then, enrollment at private Christian schools is up 35%, charter school enrollment is up by 7%, and homeschooling enrollment has doubled. Education freedom is on the rise. Alexander Hamilton wrote in the first Federalist paper that this great experiment, meaning the United States, would prove once and for all whether it is possible to establish governments guided by reflection and choice. We've had more than 200 years of demonstrating that freedom and choice are not just possible and preferable, they are essential. And now, that's exactly right. And now we must reinvigorate our commitment to these founding principles, particularly when it comes to education. Our free market principles are responsible for creating the most prosperous nation ever to exist. Giving individuals the freedom and choice to create, build, and innovate is a winning model, and it is one we must apply to education. Embracing a free market education system instead of a government-run monopoly will make better schools, better students, and better citizens. Our children need a solid foundation, so let's provide them with the best one we have, freedom. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
So the students in here, have you ever heard of Schoolhouse Rock? Is that something you guys have heard? At least your teachers have, right? Teachers, you know Schoolhouse Rock. You know, I have to tell you, when I came to Congress, I've often thought about that little song, I'm just a bill, I'm only a bill. and I'm waiting here on Capitol Hill. Students, have you seen this little video? If you haven't, you can Google it. It is really a great kind of 2-minute civics lesson in how a bill becomes law, and it's just a little silly cartoon. Well, our next speaker, what makes me think about that little ditty from Schoolhouse Rock is that as we talk about driving policy to create better educational choice for families across America, using freedom to make sure every kid in America has an opportunity to go to a better school, it takes policy to do that. And it takes legislators who are willing to step forward and help lead those efforts. Our next speaker is the lead author of legislation called the ECCA. It's a $10 billion federal school choice tax credit that would make sure 2 million kids in America had access to better educational opportunities, probably more than doubling the number of kids that have access to private school in that way today. So he's a big deal. We appreciate him being here. I hope you will give him a rousing round of applause as he comes on. Representative Adrian Smith from Nebraska.
Good day to you. I wish it were a little bit flipped that myself and all my colleagues could listen to what you have to say, because last night at the reception, I was grateful to hear from just a few students. It is so important that you are engaged. One thing I've learned as I engage with students across my district and communities is there are so many people cheering you on. They want you to do well. Your parents, obviously, those who look after you want you to do well. I've also found that your neighbors down the street or even across the country want you to do well. So I am very proud to have introduced the legislation that encourages folks who want you to do well, encourages them to invest in students across America, and in a way that is efficient and effective so that taxpayer dollars can be efficiently used, because it is an investment in all of you, in students across America. So thank you for showing up here today, for engaging in a way and sharing your story. Your story needs to be heard. And I'm inspired by what you have to say, and certainly as we have debates across Congress, both sides of the aisle, the House and the Senate, I think there are many great stories that you can share. And we shouldn't be afraid of disagreement from time to time. Our country was founded on disagreement and an exchange of ideas, and ultimately people coming together because they wanted a brighter future. They wanted the freedoms that have been talked about today to be applied as you would see fit, and to empower you for a stronger future. So we're going to have the debates that we need to have that I think can be constructive and productive for the brighter future. And with that, I'll just close and quote a very famous Nebraskan and say, "Get her done." Have a great day.
Thank you all. Thanks very much. I mentioned to you earlier with Senator Budd, one of the exciting things you have happening in Washington as this school choice movement has grown, as more and more families are able to show the positive example that comes with it, you have leaders who are stepping forward here in Washington and making school choice and education opportunity part of their why, part of why they ran and came to Congress in the first place. Our next leader is a great example of that, Congressman Williams from New York. Please come on out and say hello.
I can't imagine how many politicians they're going to make you listen to today. And, when they said that education would be painful, this is really what they meant. But I'm new to politics. So literally a year ago, I had never been involved in politics at all. And I quite literally showed up just about a year ago and said, "I'm Brandon Williams. I'm running for the United States Congress." And the reason I tell you that story is that I think it mirrors where perhaps some of you are today, that each of you have a story and potential. You've shown up here, and you'll show up in your communities and you say, whatever your name is, I have a right to a good education. I have a future, I have potential, I'm here to contribute, and I need you to give me the freedom to do that and to fulfill that. And so, school choice, I'll just tell you that my wife Stephanie and I, really my wife Stephanie, we homeschooled our 2 children. And they've been very successful as they've gone on to college and to do other things. When I ran for office, I was asked the question, and because I'm not a politician, I hadn't prepared. They said, what do you think about education? We have some of the poorest neighborhoods, the poorest children in America live in my district near Syracuse. And my answer was, we need school choice. We need school choice because parents in every neighborhood love their children just as much as the parents in the suburbs or the parents in other places. And you have to give them the chance to advocate for their children. No 2 children learn the same. No one system is right for all children. And so to release your potential, you need to have that choice. If it's charter schools, parochial schools, in our case, homeschooling, and the education system should have to compete for those dollars so that it improves because you and your families are choosing with your feet to allocate government resources that you can direct, that you know best. And so that's where I come from. I've just been named to the Education and Workforce Committee, and I've requested to be on the K through 12 committee so that I can advocate for that. And I hope that if you have issues or stories that you want to magnify, that you will reach out to my office. Tell us those stories. Tell us how we can help. It's Brandon Williams in New York 22, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Brandon. Okay, real quick, everybody stand up. Come on, we got to stand up. Just real quick. While we do this, I'm going to ask you guys to think as we get ready. Stand up real quick. You can lean a little right, lean a little left. How many of you, before you walked in the building today, looked up and saw that dome? Anybody? Did you look up and see it? And I think it's important that we realize, Brandon made a kind of a funny joke and also a reality, right? We're hearing from a lot of people today. But think about this, you're hearing from these people on behalf of millions of kids in America that need a chance they don't have. And every one of these leaders that stands up here and talks to you, basically they're making a promise to you. They're making a promise that they're going to fight for America's kids and they're going to make sure they have opportunities, the same kinds of opportunities everybody in this room is getting a chance to do. Now y'all can sit back down. Just want to give you a little chance to stretch. One of my favorite people, and there's a lot of friends that have talked today, but somebody who is just a great person, a great friend of mine, a proud graduate of Notre Dame, and also a proud champion for the people of Pennsylvania, and a great champion for America's kids, Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania. Come on up, Mike.
Thank you. So y'all got to stand up for a minute, right? I mean, I don't know how you do it. I would never be able to sit this long to listen to politicians talk. But listen, I'm glad you're here. And the reason I'm really glad you're here is you know the key to your future. You know where your future lies, and you know that everything in your future depends on how well educated you are. And you should never, ever be deprived of reaching whatever goal it is you've set for yourself. Now, Congressman Messer and I served together, and we do have an affection for the state of Indiana. I did spend 4 years in South Bend at the University of Notre Dame, which I thought was a phenomenal opportunity for me. I certainly didn't deserve it. I didn't realize it at the time, but how special it would be to me and how long it would carry me through my life. But I want you to understand something. I want you to look at each other and understand this. You are 25% of our population. You are 100% of our future. You are the future of the United States of America. You are the future of everything good that could possibly come out of the greatest nation the world has ever known. It is our duty to educate you. Not that you can just participate, but that you can dominate. There is no reason for any one of you to ever go through life and feel somehow you were deprived of a great education. That's just not who America is. That's not who she's ever been. That's not who she should ever be. It should always come down to this. Our most precious asset is our youth. Everything that's going to happen in the future is going to happen because of you. Listen, I have a very short time to speak to you, but I do want you to understand this. And I mean this when I say that. Please don't ever think that you just want to participate. And you know the famous thing people say all the time, they talk about how much they love winning? You know what's more important than loving winning? You got to hate losing. You got to hate it with every fiber of your body. And you've got to refuse to lose. You've got to refuse any opportunity that you have in the future not to participate in. And as I said, I don't want you to just participate. I want you to dominate. I want you to control your future. I want you to have the brightest future you can possibly have because you've grown up in the greatest country the world has ever known. So thanks so much. God bless all of you. Let's just all refuse to lose and let's just keep on winning. Luke, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. We're hitting the stretch run here. You're doing an awesome job. Our next speaker, you talk about living the American dream. I mean, Burgess Owens grew up and, rose through sports to be playing in the NFL, successful small business owner, now a champion for freedom and kids in the United States Congress. No better leader on the legislation we've talked about, the ECCA, than the next gentleman's going to talk to you. How about a rousing round of applause for Congressman Burgess Owens of Utah?
Hello there. How you guys doing? Quick update. First of all, I was raised by a remarkable generation of men and women who believed in freedom, who believed in their kids. I grew up in a time of 1960s Jim Crow segregation. My first exposure to white Americans wasn't until I was 16 years old. Let me tell you why that community was so successful, though. Because they believed in investing in their children. They believed that their children have a greater future than they did. They focused on a few basic tenets that this Congress will be talking about: faith, family, the free market, and education. Ignorant and free can never be. That was Thomas Jefferson, one of our founders. We need to be educated. We need to be able to think. We need to be able to see a great vision, know that we can get there. Let me tell you a little bit about that generation that raised me that you guys don't know about. That's why education is so important. We could look back on our past and see what our vision could look like through those who succeeded in our past. This is what the community group that raised me was all about. Because they believed in faith, family, the free market, and education was at the very core. The black community in the 40s, 50s, and 60s led our country in the growth of the middle class, led our country in men matriculating from college, leaving college and moving on being successful, led our country in men committed to marriage, and percentage of entrepreneurs, people willing to take a risk, to go out and build a business, to invest in their community because they had such a vision and they could articulate themselves and they believed that the American way would work for them. Your future should be unlimited. There's a couple things I raised my kids with, and I want you guys to think about this, because this is the one country you can do this. This is a country where you need to dream big. And know that as you dream big, your dreams will come to fruition if you're willing to work for it, to achieve, to fail, to get back up again, and dream again. It's all about the dream, my friends. And every one of you guys should have the opportunity to dream as big as you want to by being educated in the schools your parents want you to go to that they know that will fit your personality, will fit the way you think. And when you leave that community because you've been educated, the biggest gift you can give to your friends, to those who follow behind you, is this: if I can do it, you can do it. That's the American way. Achieve so you can look back and tell people, give them hope that they can see through the same process. Just know we have a Congress that believes in you, that believes in your potential, that knows if you're given the chance, no matter what zip code you live in, what color, what creed, it doesn't matter. Let's give you the best quality education you could ever receive, and you will present and represent our country in a great way, and we're so excited about that. We believe in you, believe in yourself, focus, educate yourself, and be willing to fail. I want you to understand this. Success is about failing enough to realize how not to fail the next time. But you got to do it. And you'll never be ashamed of the fact that you're falling forward, because that's what it's all about. That's what this country is all about. Meritocracy is above everything else. Meritocracy, working harder than the next guy, succeeding, commanding respect because you work harder than the next guy. Do that and you'll succeed. And listen, you have a team here willing to work with you, willing to give you those opportunities. So take advantage of it. Be proud of who you are. Make your family name a proud name and dream big. Okay? All the best. We'll see you later.
All right. Next up, we have another product of school choice programs, Miles Slade Bowers. I want to let Miles tell you his great story of how school choice policies have impacted his life. Come on out, Miles.
Good morning. I promise that I won't make you stand up or yell at you. You already have been through enough of that, so I'm going to try to keep it simple. I only came here to share with you one fact, a story, and a little bit about who we are. So first and foremost, congratulations to all of you and to myself. We are school choice recipients. That's my facts. In a world where, in most cases, when this legislation first started and you have met some of the leaders and the first of the front runners of the movement, they told us it was impossible. And I'm looking at all of you and I say that that's, obviously they were wrong and I can still believe that they are. The next thing is that we aren't the last. This is the biggest year we're anticipating movement in school choice. There will be rooms just like this full of young people wearing these bright yellow scarves all across the country today, tomorrow, and next year and years to come. We are making impactful movement and we're shifting the world. And it's primarily because we have so many of you all who tell your stories, who communicate what it really is like to live through these educational and hard times. Our legislators can only do so much in the frame of arguing, but arguing for you all. You are the reason. Someone came up here this morning and said, you are our focus, you are our future, you are our main priority. That's true. There's nothing that anyone could ever take away from you than that. Just a little bit about myself. I am from a small town called Stilton, Pennsylvania. If you don't know, we produce steel. Not too much anymore, but that's kind of how we got the name. And I went to a private school. It was never in my mother's interest to send us to the public school. Not that she had not experienced it, because she had herself attended that school and many of our previous family members. But she went to college and found that she was a little bit unprepared and unsuited in comparison to her counterparts. And she didn't want that for her children. In about 2018, as things do and as prices rise and the world was in kind of an upward swing to not fun to really not fun, funds ran out. There was no more access to money, and it was becoming more of a reality that I was going to be joining my mother's legacy and attending a school that really didn't set her up for the future, that did not prepare her for the day, that did not prepare her for tomorrow. Then I received a life-changing, last-minute kind of, 2 weeks before I was slotted to go back to school, I received a scholarship that allowed me to continue my education at Bishop McDevitt High School, a premier private institution that not only aligned with my values, but was my fit. One of the questions I got asked last night, and a little odd, but, something that really changed me is someone came up to me and asked me what my favorite color was. And I pondered it for a little bit, and I was like, well, red. And they were like, is that the best color? And I was like, well, for me, yes. And certainly in the same way, school choice is very similar. The school that you and your families decide to choose might not be the perfect option, might not be the greatest school in America, but it fits you. We're empowering you to make the choice. Simply that's something that you're owed, and it's certainly not something that should be a privilege of money, access, or status. You all deserve every opportunity that is granted to every single person, and we believe that not only for you all, but for millions across America, and certainly the 2.7 million children sitting in PA right now waiting on those life-changing movements. So I thank you all for being courageous enough to stand out here with us today and wearing these bright yellow scarves, because it takes a lot to rock this color, to be honest with you. But certainly we do appreciate you all and your aids to our movement. Thank you so much. My name is Miles.
Thanks, y'all. I think we got 2 more speakers, so we're almost there, right? Thank you all for being here. Thanks for all that you're doing. We have another story, a leader, somebody who is a product of school choice programs, and she's going to tell you her story of how those programs have changed her life. Angela Williams, come on up.
Before I begin, I would like to share a quote with you all. Education is the key to unlocking the world. It is the passport to freedom. And that's by Oprah Winfrey. I started my journey with the DC Opportunity Scholarship in 2020. I was on the lookout for middle schools, and I didn't know where to go. My mom was already eyeing Washington School for Girls, but she was unsure because of the cost. My best friend's parents put her in the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, and my mom was interested. We soon found out that WSG offers a scholarship following admission through the OSP program. This was revolutionary. I hadn't experienced private school before, and I was excited to see what was next. My time at WSG has been life-changing. I didn't know what to expect from here, but I now know that this is the best thing that has probably ever happened to me. I've made so many friends, and I've broken off from my shy ways. I've encountered so many academic opportunities that have prepared me for the next part of my journey, high school. I would recommend WSG to any girl who is looking for a sisterhood and a caring environment. And those are just a few things that I love about Washington School for Girls. The amount of experiences I've been through is unexplainable, from museums to even speeches for the National Park Trust. That's the power of the OSP scholarship. If I hadn't received that, I don't think I would be who I am today. The DC Opportunity Scholarship offers support to those who need it. Many people in DC, and even around the world, cannot afford schools. I believe that everyone deserves a right to a quality education, no matter who you are. If we as a society can understand this, we can promote higher quality education. And I think that the DC Opportunity Scholarship is a great start.
Pardon? Oh, chair? All right, couple quick things. First, I think we're down to our last speaker. How about a round of applause for that? All right. Now I'm going to get our energy up. Well, yes, so we're going to all stand up. We're going to all stand up. Everybody all the way back. All right. This half of the room, right, we're going to say, when parents have a choice, There's two things I want y'all to think about, and then I'm going to bring up our next and final speaker, okay? The first thing, everybody take a seat if you want. Yeah, you can stand a little bit if you want. We're going to get ready to go. Two things I want you to think about. You heard all these different stories from people all across America, leaders, but people honestly just like you. One of the most important things to take from today, every one of these people, presidents of universities, leaders like our next speaker, just people, just kids that used to sit in auditoriums and listen to people talk, maybe a little bit bored thinking about the future, but they stuck to it and had a chance. You can have that chance too. Secondly, thank you for your service today, because I want to tell you something that's going to happen either this year, next year, sometime in the next few years. We're going to pass legislation here in Washington, D.C. that's a $10 billion tax credit that gives 2 million kids an opportunity. We can applaud that. And when that happens, when you see that on the TV, when you read it in the newspaper or on your phone, I want you to know that you did that. You were part of why that happened, because you listened to these leaders today and you heard them make promises to you. The next speaker is somebody who I think has made the biggest promise in the history of the school choice movement. You know, this is a movement that's been going on for 40 years. Colleagues of ours in the past were very active in bringing the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, which has been great for thousands of kids here, including all of you. But never in the history of our country had a leader step forward and say, you know, we can do more than that. We can do a lot more than that. And this next speaker, the Speaker of the House, the third highest ranking officer in America, put together something called the Commitment to America. And high ranking in that commitment was a commitment to America's parents and America's kids to make sure that millions would have opportunities that they don't have today. He's also a personal friend of mine. I give you the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. You going to speak here? You going to go down there? Yeah, of course. All right, so the Cornerstone kids are going down with you. Go on down. You need a mic? Let's get you a mic.
Is it okay if I come to you?
Love it.
Yeah.
See if that works.
How about this? Is this better? All right. How many are on a DC Opportunity Scholarship? Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Now, I know you've had a long day. You had to hear from a lot of different people, right? But did you get to hear from Tim Scott? Isn't he fabulous? He's one of my best friends. Tim is an amazing guy, and he's passionate. He's passionate for you. You may not even know him, but he's passionate for you to give you a better opportunity. Because the one thing we've always learned is education is the great equalizer. But the only way education be a great equalizer is that you have the choice. You have the choice of where you want to go. And the one thing that Luke was talking about up here is we put out what is called the Commitment to America. In this, we told America, what would we do if you lent us the power to be in charge? And we said we want to build a nation that's built on freedom. And that means where children can dream big, where children actually come first. So our goal out here is to add 1 million more opportunity scholarships across this nation. Now I'm going to tell you one little quick story, all right? I'm not going to keep you long. You're tired. You've been around. I don't know if any of you paid attention to politics. I don't know if you paid attention to the speaker race and something happened in the speaker race if you watched. I didn't win on the first time. And you wonder about that, right? Well, has that happened before? Yeah, but it's been like 150 years. It took me 15 times, all right? I just never gave up. But I want you to learn something from that, all right? So I'm born in this town called Bakersfield, California. It's not a big city. And my family didn't have wealth, but we didn't have choice either, right? I couldn't go to any school I wanted to. And when I got out of school, my folks didn't have wealth to send me to college, so I went to junior college. And I had to help pay my way through it. So I would flip cars. I found out later it was illegal, but I was just trying to do what I could, right? And then when you're junior college, you want to go visit your friends who are away at college. My best friend, he got a scholarship to Stanford. He's the running back up there. My other friends were at USC, and my other friends were at San Diego State. So I was going to San Diego State that weekend to go see them. And so I go to the grocery store to cash a check so I have some money for the weekend, right? The day before the lottery started in California, so I bought a lottery ticket. And you know what? I won the lottery. Now, it wasn't the millions and billions you read about, but I won $5,000. That's the most you could win back then, long before you were born. So think about that. I'm 20 years old. It's Friday night. I just won $5,000. I'm spending the weekend right by Tijuana, right? Didn't do anything crazy, but came back. But when I come back, I take the money, and I believe in taking risk, not doing what others. So I invested in the stock market, and I did pretty well. So at the end of the next semester, I took a break from school, and I went to try to buy a business. I tried to buy like a Subway, and they wouldn't sell me one because they said, you're only 20. You don't know what you're doing. One thing I want you to learn, if someone tells you you don't know what you're doing, you prove to them they're wrong. So I went out and I created my own business, and I became very successful. It was a deli. In the end of 2 years, I now had enough money, I could pay my whole way through college and I wouldn't have to work. So I'm going to college, and in the paper, they had this article to be a summer intern in Washington, D.C. with my local congressman. I did not know this man, but I thought he'd be lucky to have me, so I applied. You know what he did? He turned me down. But in the turn down letter, he made this really nice little thing. So I went back to him. And you know what happened? I'm now elected to the congressional seat. I couldn't get an internship. I'm now the 55th Speaker of the House. But this is what I want to tell you about that. For the first 6 years of my education, I had to go to speech lessons because I couldn't say my alphabet. I was not the valedictorian. I had to struggle for everything that happened. So what's going to happen in your life is not going to come easy. But you just made a decision that's going to make your future brighter. You had a choice of where you wanted to get your education. So I hope you value it. I hope you work at it. And when you have a struggle, do not give up. The one thing my father taught me, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So you may not have started with everything you wanted in life, but you know what? With the work you're doing, you can end up with everything you need in life. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Yes. Thank you so much. Hey, first, how about a round of applause for the young people up here from Cornerstone? Can we get a picture with Kevin with these young guys? You're going to get them right here. What grade are y'all in? Love it. So quick picture there with those guys. We can applaud that, Cornerstone and everybody else. That's good. And then Kevin, second picture if you want. Did you get that already? You already got it? And then from the stage, we're going to do a picture back this way of everybody here for School Choice Week. So the speaker can be here, but they're going to take a picture there. Yeah, just stay here. You guys can come here. Where should we be? Well, I know we'll do what. Yeah, maybe back here. I don't know. Maybe back here would be good. Up front's where we should be? He says we're supposed to be up there. All right, so let's go up that way. All right. Is it better if everybody stands or sits? Everybody stand? We like standing anyway, don't we? That's better. Yeah. Are we good?
Smile. Go higher.
Okay. Now, team. How about everybody give themselves a round of applause? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I really do sincerely believe we've made a difference today, and everybody can be proud as bigger opportunities happen for kids across America. I now want to tell you that the rally is over. We are done with our speakers. And I guess I am to dismiss schools by name. So that way we'll have a little bit of order as we head on our way out. First, Our Lady of Victory School. If y'all want to clear, we'll let them kind of get going. And then once they kind of hit the corner there, I'll call the next one.